Catus, Maximus here, this time with a little video about the Stanley FatMax sheet metal shears. These happen to be omnidirectional, that's what the little icon is, straight, left or right, although green and reds are better for when you're cutting left or right. These are the FatMax. Stanleys are supposed to be, the FatMax brand is supposed to be like a new generation, more premium, and in this case, I think they're worse, and that's what a lot of people have commented on the few other FatMax items I've reviewed, is that the FatMax really isn't the max, it's more like the minimum, and they just haven't held up. The wood chisels, I've even had issues where the overmold has started cracking, and what I mean is that I have the older 14 563s, I probably got these in 2003, 2004. These are going on 20 years old, so these are the more classic ones. What they've done here is they've counterbored the jaws so that the center bolt sits a little bit deeper. But if we look, the jaws really aren't any, maybe a touch thicker right there at the pivot, but not by very much. And so what they've done is they've counterbored, removed material right where the highest amount of stress is occurring. So I don't really like that. The other thing is we can see that now everything is riveted, which I suppose is generally, I guess, okay. But the old ones, as we can see, were all bolted together, could be totally disassembled and cleaned and rebuilt. Another thing is that the overmolding on the old, very old ones, it was full overmolding with the cross hatching, which I really liked. On this, it's a little bit more minimalistic. The other thing is the hand stops and finger stops, as we can see, they're pretty narrow, where they were just a bit more substantial and thicker on the 20-year-old models. This is a used pair. It seems to hold up well. Uses a spring-loaded lock that's now centered in between the handle. Pretty strong spring. As far as how easy it is to open, they're both pretty easy to open. We can see that the jaws open a little bit wider on the FatMaxes, on the newer ones, than they do on the older ones. Yet the handles only extend a little bit further out, so I don't know if that's a slight change in the leverage ratio. Other than that, not a lot else to say. Perhaps they went with the internal catch just to prevent it from getting bent, where this external one can get bent. These do have serrated jaws. A lot of people don't like that because, of course, it leaves serrations on the metal that you cut and can make it a little bit more dangerous because it's more like a saw edge as well as being unsightly. And I know a lot of my viewers personally don't like it. They like smooth jaw ones. As far as how they cut, you know, they work just fine. Here we have a stainless steel outlet cover, so it's not pure mild steel. It's a little bit harder than normal, but they still work pretty well for cutting through that. Don't have to put a particularly large amount of force. Now in this situation here, it really wants to fold over, so you have to kind of be careful and hold the metal to prevent it from wanting to slip, fold over, and that just, of course, pushes the jaws apart. But as long as you kind of remember that if you're cutting thicker or heavier duty materials, such as this outlet cover, they are still pretty strong. So they, you know, work as generally advertised. They will cut sheet metal. I just don't think they're quite as good as the old ones. Once again, being permanently riveted together so you can't rebuild them. I think that they may have weakened the pivot just a little bit versus the old ones. And I don't think the overmolding on the handles is as good as the old ones. And I like the wider hand stops on the older ones. So just a situation where they put a FatMax name on the tool to make you think that it's better or improved over the old version, where in reality, it's probably not quite as good. And it's a shame. And I don't think these Stanleys were American made. I think these are Taiwanese. These are unfortunately, I believe, Chinese. Anyway, that's my little video about the Stanley FatMax tin snips sheet metal shears. I really appreciate everybody who's been watching and subscribing. If you haven't subscribed, please do. Till next time, Catus Maximus out.